Hello my friends, and welcome to my channel. It's Sam here in the northwest of England saying a very big hello and hope you're all doing okay. What have you been up to this week, guys? I've been faffing around as usual with beads and with wire and a few other things that I don't include on this channel because this channel is mainly about beads and wire faffing, isn't it? But I've had a lovely opportunity this week to sit down and just have a play with some wire. Cut a long story short, let's have a look at these little cuties here. I absolutely, excuse me, I love spirals, I love coils. I just think they're extremely versatile and fun and pretty. And look at these. So they have like a little coil outer and a little bead inner. Aren't they sweet? So you can make these as big or as small as you like. I'm going to be showing you the measurements for these pretty little things. Aren't they lovely? Sit really, really elegantly in the ear, and obviously with that central bead you can just put whatever you like in there as long as it fits. Yeah. So let's have a look at what we need to make those little cuties. So all you're going to need today is some 1mm. I'm using bare copper wire just because that's my favorite, 18 gauge. For the coil outer you're going to need some 0.6, which is 22 gauge, and that's just literally to attach the bead. And you're going to need a couple of ear wires. I make my own from 0.8 20 gauge because that's universally, I believe, what's suitable for most people's ears. You're going to need your usual tools, so your cutters, your favourite chain nose pliers. You're going to need your 6-step bell making pliers, or however you would make a 3mm internal diameter coil. Yeah. What else are you going to need? I'm going to suggest a ring mandrel or some form of mandrel because you're going to be bending the shape. You know, you can use anything you like a lipstick, or I basically just used a little file here that's got my beading needles in it, anything like that. Just a ruler to measure out your lengths and a couple of beads. So I'm going to be using 6mm faux pearls to go in the centre, and I think that is about it. Not very much ingredients today, so I'll clear the table away and we'll get going. And we'll make these gorgeous, gorgeous, pretty, elegant little earrings. Okay, so I'll see you in a few. And we're back. So let's have a look at what we need to make these little pretty earrings. Difficult to show you how they dangle nicely because obviously I'm taking these pictures from up above, but you know they do dangle very, very prettily in the ear. All right, so let's have a look. First thing you're going to need to do is to bring in your 1mm, that's 18 gauge copper wire. I'm using bare copper. But you know, use whatever you like. This has got a little bit of tarnish on it, but that's fine. I will clean it after I've made them, which you can do if you like. I'm going to be doing a video at some point in the near future about how to clean and how to protect your copper jewellery. So I'm working on that at the moment, so stand by. But for now, let's make one of these. So obviously when you're making earrings, you want them to be pretty much exactly the same. So you take just over 10 inches of wire, 25.5 centimeters. You want that little tiny bit over the end, you know, just a little bit over 10 inches, because you will be snipping a little bit off at the end. I'll show you in a second. So you've got your 10 inches, all right, which is about 25.5 centimeters. So I'm going to be using my 3mm mandrel on my 6-step bell making plier. Now, if you like to make your coils a different way, go ahead and make them however you like. But for me, I basically just put the wire at the end of the mandrel and I just bend around. I mean, you can do this around a knitting needle or, you know, sort of proprietary mandrels. A lot of people have those mandrels that fit onto the end of a drill, perhaps, you know, like a drill bit. I can't afford all of the fancy schmancy equipment, so I just sit here and I work it out for myself. So I basically just use my 6-step bone making plier, and because I know that this second step, mine's a 2 to 9 actually, so the second step I know is a 3mm. So all of the measurements I'm going to be giving you today obviously are using my tools, and you know, you can just adapt. This is just ideas, and that's all it is. So pull that off. There we go. So you've got a little coil here. So what you want to do now is to just snip with a flush cut at one end, and then in line snip at the other end, because these ends are going to constitute the little loops at the top where you fit your jump ring. Didn't mention jump rings, did I? I neglected to mention the good old jump ring. You're going to need some 5mm internal diameter jump rings made from 1mm wire. All right, so there we go. Right, so here we have our little spring, as it were. So you just use your fingers, just pull it apart just ever so slightly, as much as you can, but keeping things nice and neat if you can. Like so, just separate it a little. Now then, you want to come in now with a tea towel or a thick cloth of some description. I'm just going to be using this tea towel, like so. You want a little bit of a squishy surface for this, because we're going to be rolling our ring mandrel up and down to squish this flat. All right, so you want a tea towel on a hard surface. All right, when you do this, do it from top to bottom. Don't roll it up and down to start with, because you'll end up with some of the coils going one way, some of the coils going another way. Ask me how I know this. Because I've been doing this, a few of these. So start at the top and basically push hard downwards and downwards. Take out all of your frustration, and you'll notice that it starts to curve. Yeah, keep going, keep pushing down as hard as you can, and once they've started to go into one direction like that, then you can start rolling up and down. So to start with, just roll downwards so that you start getting this kind of thing. All right, so can you see they're starting to slant? This is the fun part, whereby if you need to excuse me, make it less squishy, do so. This is the fun part where we just take our frustrations out on a piece of wire. So as you can see, the harder I'm pressing, the longer and the more elongated this becomes. A little bit more. It's fun, this bit. It's like rolling pastry, I guess. So here we have our little coil. Now it looks a little bit bent out of shape. Just straighten it a little. Just use your fingers as your tools. If you want to come in gently with your nylon jaw, which I'll be using in a second, you know, you can spread these out slightly with your nylon jaw if you want to. What we want to make sure is that this is 2 inches long. Okay, so come in and measure it. So we've still got a bit to go yet. So just pull with your fingers, with your nylon pliers. Just give things a little bit of a squeeze so that they stretch, you know, they stretch out. You'll find that when you do this with your nylon jaw pliers, things stretch out a little bit, like so. Just keep going. Try and keep all of the coils, you know, sort of a little bit longer. Try and keep all of the coils as neat and as even as you can. Just keep going, like so. If things just look a little bit off kilter, that's fine. We're going to be finishing the ends off properly in a second. So don't worry too much about this scrappy looking end. How are we doing? Nearly there. So little bit of a pull just to stretch it so it's 2 inches long. And there we have it, around about 2 inches. So when you're making earrings, I suggest you do both at the same time, yeah, so that they're exactly the same size. Give it, I'm saying exactly, pretty much the same size. So we want to finish these scrappy ends off here. So if you notice, this wire here is sticking out and it's a little bit sharp. So you just take your flush cutters and just cut where the end of the wire is just inside the start of that circle, yeah, and then come in, oops, with your pliers and just squish the end of that wire down into the circle. All right, so that it's nice and flush and there's no sharp edges. Same on the other side. So just inside. Oh, mind your eyes. Mind your eyes. That went over the other side of the room. So I'm not entirely sure where that went. I'm sure I will find it amongst other thousands of pieces, little bits of wire that I have in my workroom. Right, there we go. So we want this to be 2 inches long. So just double check it again. And it's about as near as it can be. Okay, so there's our little length, our little spiral length. All right, so the next thing we want to do is we want to bend it into shape. So there's various things you can do. Bend it around any mandrel that you've got, like so. You know, just bend it around. It'll want to ping out of shape, but that's fine. I come in with the end of my ring mandrel on about an E, British or a European, no, I think it's actually British, isn't it? An E, a size E. And then just bend around, squishing as you go, like so. So you've got this kind of shape. I'll just get rid of that. So you've got this kind of shape. And then basically what you want to do is turn it into more of a horseshoe shape. So elongate it a little bit because we want to fit our little bead in the center. So here we go. Squish it a little bit in and out, and then just sit them next to each other. All right, so that just needs a little bit more of a squish inwards. And then what I do is just come in and just bend the top bits in just a little bit, like so. And then just have a look at how it looks. If you've got a little bit of space, just come in with your plier and give it a bit of a squish, like so. I think those are pretty much the same. What do you think? They look about right? Yeah, they look okay, don't they? All right, so that's that little bit done. Let's just squish that slightly. They want to be pretty much the same. All right, I'm relatively happy with those. Good, so put those to one side for a second. The next thing we do is to take our couple of little beads. Nice quick one for you today, actually. Just because it's nice to do a quick project now and again. So you're just going to take your 22 gauge, your 0.6 wire, cut, you know, I don't know, 3 inches, is that? Yeah, about 3 inches each. Just gives you a little bit of length in which to play. And all I'm doing is putting a tiny little loop on the end, just so much that the bead doesn't fall off. Now, if you are very good and you have a torch and you can make your own ball pins, that kind of thing, use a ball pin, absolutely, no problem at all. I'm still trying to gain some confidence with my torch. So when I've gained a little bit more confidence, then I'll come back to you and show you my efforts with a torch. Because I do like copper ball pins. I think they're very, very pretty. Right, so here we have our 2 little head pins, eye pins, should I say. Pop your beads on, like so. And we basically just want to make 2 little dangles out of this, like so. Actually, I think probably 3 inches is probably too much, as is typical for me, isn't it? Using too much wire, as usual. I'm terrible, but I do have, let me show you, I do have lots and lots of spares here, so I use, I do use these. Look at those, that's one of my efforts from the other day, from my ring, my little ring, and all of my offcuts from things that I've been trying to come up with. So keep your offcuts is my opinion. Okay. So the thing we want to do now is to just make a nice little dangle like so, and just wind, go over it double like so. So you just want to make a couple of these. Actually, you know what? We've not got that much left over, have we? That's not too bad. So I'll just pop that in my little bowl there and come in and just give that a little bit of a straighten. Let's make the next one. There we go. Down like so. And make a little loop. I'll make a little loop. In fact, I've marked my pliers for a different project, which I'm going to be recording soon. And then basically wind it around and then back. I like a bit of a, I mean, they're supposed to be scrappy, but they're actually more neat than I anticipated. Well done, Sammy. That's not bad, is it? Must be getting better as I'm going. There we go. All right, so we've got our little dangles made. Right, next thing we want to do is to grab some, a couple of ear wires. So let me find my ear wires. Where are they? I did make some in preparation. Oh, there they are. There we go, a couple of ear wires as well. And you're also going to need 2 5mm jump rings made with 1mm wire. That's 1, that's 2. There we go. Like I say, I've got a bit of tarnishing going on, but that's absolutely fine. When you store things like this, you do get a bit of tarnish going on, but I clean all my jewellery after I've made it, and then, before I wear it perhaps, or I'll coat it with Renaissance wax or something like that. So you will find at the top, hopefully, you've got space enough to put your little jump ring. So jump ring in through one hole at the top, pop your little charm on, and then back through the next hole at the top, which hopefully should be nice and neat at this point. And then just close up your jump ring, like so. And you'll find that that is under tension. If it's too much under tension, just draw them in a little bit, that's better. And then do the same with the other one. So open your jump ring through the one hole, pop your little charm on, and through the next hole, and then just close it up at the top like so. There we are, beautiful. So all you need to do now is to pop your beautiful little coil earring onto its ear wire. And there we have a really simple, really beautiful, very versatile little earring. I'll show you the clean version. If you're wanting to make these out of silver, you can do, obviously. But if you do that, just when you are sorting out your coil, just do it with nylon pliers so that you don't mark your wire. And there we have it. So you can dangle anything you like in there. You can make these as big or as small as you like. You can put a patina on it, which I will probably do with one pair because I like to wear raw copper sometimes, and I also like to wear my copper with a patina on it. Do whatever you like, dangle whatever you like. Beautiful, aren't they pretty? So I hope you really enjoy making those, and I hope you've enjoyed watching this little faffy video. Please do leave me a comment in the comments section below. Let me know how you're getting on. It does help my channel get pushed out to a few more people. I'd love to share with, you know, loads more people the things that we make and the beautiful things that we do with our hands. All right, so I'll see you in my next video. Thanks for watching.